our
This meeting is being recorded.
I would like to open our regular monthly meeting on Monday, August 15th, 2022 at 7:03 p.m. And in attendance, we have Alfima Goodson, Megan Papa, Alice Joslow, Cecilia Quintero. Oh, Cecilia Commit. Yes, I heard. Okay. Shambi Speller, Matthew Weiss, Karen LaRocca Fells, Molly Robbins, Mark Sasha, Dennis Newberger, Leslie Allen, and Jonathan Marshall. And Kathy Byrne. I think I got everyone there. Great. Okay. Now the first step we have to take is the Pledge of Allegiance. And Matthew, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Right now, I would like to take a motion to accept the minutes of July 11th, 2022, the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, and the meeting of August 4th, 2022. I'm going to hold out the third meeting because not everyone was present for that. So, sorry. Thank you, Matt and Alice. Thank you for seconding the motion. And so, if all those in favor of passing this motion?
Not everyone was here for all of them.
Well, that's why I'm holding the one separately, July 28th.
Right.
Okay. So I see all hands have been raised. Thank you. And so we'll move forward now. And I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes of the special meeting work session of July 28th, 2022. Thank you, Matt. And did you see who did the second one?
Alice.
Oh, thank you, Alice, for seconding the motion. And now we can proceed to a vote. So all those in favor of accepting this motion for this meeting, thank you. And those who abstain?
I think I wasn't there.
Correct. So you would abstain, Megan.
Yes, I am abstaining.
Thank you. Okay. And so since there are no objections, we are going to move forward in this motion to accept these meeting minutes is now approved. And we're going to move forward with public comment, and maybe it would be good to start with Mark.
I think so.
Good. So Mark, we would like to introduce you to everyone.
We hired, as you know, we hired Mark Sasha to fill the adult services librarian position. And he started with us on July 1st, a little bit before July 1st, yes, but in full force on July 4th or 1st. So I thought it was, or July 5th. So I thought it was a good idea to introduce you all to him. And maybe you could say just a few words about your background.
Sure. So hello, everybody. It's nice to meet you. If I haven't met you in person yet, I hope to do so soon. So my background is that I come from actually the world of archives. And I worked in academic libraries, and most recently for the city of New York, I was in their environmental protection department as an archivist and a researcher. So this is a little bit of a different job for me. That being said, I do have the background in library science, and I feel that I'm adjusting very well, and I'm very happy to be here. This was the best thing that I could have done with myself, and just looking forward to everything that comes next.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mark?
Well, I asked mine the other day when I was in the library.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you very much, Mark. Good for everybody to meet you. Welcome. And I'm sure they'll see you in the library too.
Thank you.
Welcome to our staff. So glad to have you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, thank you. And now I would like to know, Dennis, would you like to report out on the Ossining Public Library Friends?
Yes. Hello, everyone. It'll be brief. For the records, the checking account is $2,957, and we still have savings of $4,702. I do not have an up-to-date report on the savings of the volunteers. Bonnie has got COVID and is very, very sick with it. So I'll be able to give that update for what the volunteers did in July. The events coming up, the children's book sale is going to be Saturday, the 27th. And we thank, again, the people in the library, Marlene and James, for working with us, getting it prepared. We have had no homebound deliveries. We did have one delivery. The American Legion is still accepting DVDs. So that we at least had one in July. We also had a special thank you. A woman called me and said that she had a huge bag of brand new books, and it turned out they were a special Amish children's training books. We were not able to sell them at the book sale, but I contacted my Amish friends, because Eileen and I used to go to Lancaster at least once a year. And they want them to be used at an Amish school in Lancaster. And on behalf of the library and the friends, I will be delivering them this weekend. And also I did contact the woman that donated it, and she said she knew her mother would be very pleased that they wound up down there. The Friends Corner is donated 5 boxes of paperback books for the Westchester Correctional Facilities needed. We will cover the cost of 2 sewing machines for a new sewing group that's going to be established in September. And due to the high volume of books in storage, we cannot accept any donations. That's basically it. Any questions?
Sounds terrific.
Okay.
You continue to be busy.
Thank you. I'll let you know what the Amish say. I may come back in a horse and buggy, but
You might bring back some quotes.
yeah. Okay, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dennis. Leslie, would you like to give us a report about the foundation?
Sure. We had a very successful screening of the documentary, The Trials of Constance Baker Motley, or that was the book. Yeah. We had 25 people attend, some board members. So thank you so much for coming. Those of you who did. People have asked if we could do an encore when we have more of an audience. I don't know if I would put my friend Joel through that again, but it was a terrific documentary. And those of us who were there thought we had a very special night. So it was terrific. We also had a little free library donated down in Gordian Park to not the town of Ossining, but the village of Ossining, just to be specific. And we had a nice little ribbon cutting down there. And from what I understand, the donations are overwhelming down there and things are going really well. Our board member, Miriam Risco, is going to be convening a committee to start overseeing all of the little libraries and just visiting them and making sure that they're all being taken care of and that they're all getting books. We think they all are, but we just have there's never been one person sort of overseeing all of them. And we want to make sure they're staying in good shape and maybe update them with some new maps. We had the man who facilitates the David Swope Fund come for a tour. I think he was very impressed. I think Karen did a great job of bringing him around, and I think he was very impressed with the library, and I think that relationship is ongoing, and that's exciting. I don't know if anyone has checked out the website, but we have OLF Presents now, which is Pam Thornton doing little interviews. Our first one was with Dennis. Thank you so much, Dennis, for being our initial interviewee. It's always hard to go first, and we appreciate it. We have a couple more planned. coming up. Pam will continue to add to those. Coordinated with that, I am going to work with Mallory to make the foundation website a little more robust and reflective of what we're doing now. So we'll do a tiny overhaul of that. And we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we had a lot of really interesting ideas of possible projects moving forward. And we have a possible new board member, which once she officially says yes and gets started, I will announce. So that's all our news for now.
Thank you. That's all good news.
Yeah, it was a good summer.
Great. And it will continue to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Jonathan, would you like to give us your report?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to use a summer update email that Terry Kirchner had sent out. And I saw this later in the day, and Karen's going to be nice enough to send it out later to the board members. But I'll just go through a few of the things that were talked about there. The big part is certainly the digital equity initiative. And this is an activity and a program that WLS has put a lot of time and effort and priority in. And these actually, we're supporting 22 libraries now where we're loaning Chromebooks and hotspots. And I think this has worked out very well. And there was 2 recent events, one focused on youth and their families, both in Yonkers. They call it Yonkers National Night Out and Peekskill National Night Out. And I know I'm sure there's been some programs at Ossining already. So I think that's, which we're pleased about. And again, it's giving information as well as sharing back and forth with people about what can be most helpful and effective for the digital equity initiative programs and projects that we're trying to promote in Westchester County. The next part is the legislative breakfasts. The July 13th that was at the Croton Free Library, and Sandy Galiff was there, which is terrific, and a number of our board members also attended, and just an opportunity to talk with different people about the library's program. And one of the things that is part of it is, again, the digital equity initiative, where the digital EVAN comes to the event. We had a second one on July 27th. That was in Somers, and a third one at the Harrison Library on August 10th. And the fourth one will be August 24th at the Yonkers Will Library. And that again is open for legislators and anyone that wants to come by. And again, it's an opportunity to thank the legislators, but also to talk with them and for them to listen to some of the programs and projects that are most interesting to members of the community. There's also the Senior Law Day Collaborative, and that's programs with August 18th, individual consultations. There's a webinar on August 24th, and August 25th, there's a Westchester Community Conversations. So again, it's focused on the aspirations and needs of seniors. And then September 7th is the Elder Law 101 program. So these are things that we continue to work with seniors. It's again another important priority for WLS. Just a quick update on the Mount Vernon Public Library. The registration application for 2020 and 2021 annual reports have not been completed. They've been worked on by the Mount Vernon Public Library staff and trustees, and over the last 2 months, but the required documents are still not ready to be submitted to the Division of Library Development. So and it's again being submitted for their review and approval. So I know some deadlines have come and gone. So more remains to be seen on what happens next with the Mount Vernon Public Library situation. And there was another also, there's things that that WLS does during the year, of course, but also now during the summer, where we help member libraries with certain projects. And there's just a couple of one-line things. The clarification about open meeting law and the ability to host hybrid and online. That's a topic that has been member libraries have been asking WLS for, and we've been following up with that. The assistance with updating of long-range strategic plans, and also providing documentation to local municipalities to support libraries with annual reports, funding, and construction-related activities. So that was one case where one of the treasurers of one of the villages was asking about overdrive, and just giving them the details of why that cost is what it is, and trying to explain to them that overdrive is that's the sole service provider for the library. And while the individual libraries are supporting that, WLS together ends up saving a great deal of money and providing a great deal of value for the different member libraries. So those are just in a real quick and brief capsule with some of the programs going on in the summer. Hope some of you, if you're in the area for on August 24th around the Will Library at 9 a.m., please stop by. And just wanted to see if there's also any questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That was very thorough, Jonathan. And Karen sent out the notice from Terry briefly before our meeting. And as I was leaving, I quickly glanced through it and I thought, oh, I really got to pay attention to this. There is a lot going on.
Good, and thank you. And also, again, thank you, Karen, for sending that out.
Of course. Yes. Thank you. And before we proceed, I just want everybody to know that Devont Richards has joined us as a public person of the community joining the meeting. So we will continue then with the director's report.
Okay. Let me go through the highlights with you, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. We had a finance committee meeting with our bond counsel to discuss bonding and how that works so that we could be a little bit more informed about that process. I do have a recording of that meeting, so anybody who would like that to be sent to them, just shoot me an email and I'd be happy to send it along. You're going to be voting tonight on the 2 quotes for the modular spaces. As a refresher, these are the 2 for upstairs on the 2nd floor. One is for teen services office space, which places them nearer to their service point. And the other is for 2 small study rooms on the 2nd floor for the use of the public. And we are receiving a $60,000 grant through DASNY from Senator Reichlin Melnick to pay for part of this. I talked a lot in my report about the temporary fence that we had installed in the parking lot. And as you know now, we had some good news from the engineers, and we have since pushed the fence back, and it will be picked up very soon. It was a rental, thank goodness we didn't purchase anything. But that has now opened up our lower level parking spaces, which takes a good deal of the pressure off of our parking situation, though not all of the pressure. I believe I forwarded you the report. I was in the packet, the report from the engineers, basically formalizing their recommendation. We will continue monitoring monthly. We'll monitor monthly. They had said another 6 months, but in their report, they're recommending a year, which I think is a good idea. And then we are going to circle back with them in about 6 months, so probably January-ish, to review again the data, and then I expect we would review again in another 6 months. But so far, we've had good news, which is much needed. Let's see. Leslie talked about all the things I wanted to say for the foundation, so thank you for that. Ignira Lopez and I attended the Ossining Leadership Summit that was organized by the school district, but that included many groups who work in our community. It was a great opportunity to connect and share what we do and learn what others do as well. We are going to be working with a per diem translator who will help us translate some of our larger documents into Spanish. We can handle a good number of our work in-house. We have several staff members who read and write in Spanish very well. But when it comes to things like the long-range plan, we were really significantly delayed because that just took them so long. And a translator can turn something like that around pretty quickly. We're sending her, Mallory's helping to coordinate this for me. We're sending her some of our policies right now so that we can start translating our policies into Spanish. And we'll use that as a first project to see how it goes, see if we like her work, which I'm sure we will. She was highly recommended by Neighbors Link. So I think that anybody who does work for them is going to be good.
Great.
Yes? Did somebody have a question?
Oh, I thought that was great because I was going to ask you, where did you find the translator?
Yeah, Neighbors Link. They use her a lot. We have done a lot as far as training goes. We have rolled out our annual required sexual harassment training to the staff. We will be rolling out the supervisors and managers trainings, which I'll share with the Board of Trustees as well, so that you can participate in that. I'm probably going to send that out early September, though, so you'll see that come through. We had our final version, our final session of the library in charge person training for the first group, and we'll be scheduling the second group for the fall. And then we're hoping to have the CPR AED refresher with Phelps Hospital in the fall as well. Allison has started working on a fairly large training program that is to help us make sure that all of our staff have core competencies when it comes to technology. Each department, there are some things that are sort of universal staff-wide that people need to know how to do, but then there are some department-specific core competencies that need to be worked in. So she has been working. She's put together the universal ones, and she will be working with the department heads to put together the department specific. It will include some asynchronous training at first, then some follow-up in-person training, and then there will be an assessment piece of it so that folks can sort of see how they're doing, their department heads can see how they're doing, and we can address any gaps in the competencies going forward. This fits really nicely into our personnel performance review rollout too, because that's going on at the same time. So some of those core competencies can be reflected as goals in those reviews that staff need to meet. We unfortunately, as you know, lost a longtime library employee. She's been retired for quite some time, but she was very well loved and well known in our community. Jane Clark used to work as our programming and marketing person. She retired in 2010. Mallory and James Trapasso is the staff person who worked most closely with her. And so she's working with James to put together a tribute for her that we can then send out. And she's working with the family as well. So that should come out fairly soon. I have posted and have interviewed for our Librarian 3 position, which is the department head for patron services. And I'll be discussing a little bit more about that in executive session, but I'm happy to be moving along in that regard. I've applied for another grant. We just can't get enough of them. This one is also brought to our attention by Senator Reichlin Melnick. It's the CREST Community Resiliency, Economic Sustainability and Technology Grant. And I'm writing it for the first floor modular space that the foundation has raised some money for so that we could round that out. And then also to close off the 2 former computer, well, they're soon to be former computer labs. We've had a number of ideas about what to use those rooms for, but we know we need to, at the very least, close them off once they're no longer computer labs so that they can be meeting spaces. And then from there, we can decide what we want to do. Some of the ideas that we've had have been a potential local history space, a potential podcasting space. There's probably about 15 other ideas that we can come up with, but we'll discuss those going forward. So I'll let you know about the grant. Usually for these grants, we learn whether we receive them or not, like early to mid-fall. So I think that would be my expectation. I met with Michael Holmes in July. We discussed the communication surrounding the long-range plan, and I had shared with him what we've been giving to the board. He reviewed that. He thought it was good. And then we talked about some other ways that I can continue to report, part of which is trying to tie my monthly report into the different goals of the long-range plan, which I've tried to do this time around and will continue to try to do. This is sort of a big project, and I don't want to say I don't know where it's going to go, because I do know where it's going to go, but I sort of have to get there. We would like to put together information about the diversity of our programs, and we're looking at it from two different ways. One is to more like an audit situation where you look at what you've done and use some sort of rubrics or metrics to measure it, or and the other piece of it is as a planning tool. So as you're planning programs, I've researched, what's out there. There's not much, unfortunately. So I think we're going to have to put it together. I think we're going to have to put it together ourselves to the best of our ability. I did come up with an initial document, it's not nearly in its final stages. It's an audit document. I shared it with Althema, who's going to take a look at it for me and see what she thinks. But that's sort of in the planning stages right now, and I'm hoping to get that off the ground sometime in the fall, if I can get a good solid way of doing it. Cabling project went well. They were very good and very fast, and as you know, we're getting 80% of that paid for by the federal government. We're waiting on our new copiers and coin boxes. The staff want to thank the board very much for for approving the purchase of the new copiers, the lease of the new copiers, but especially the purchase of the coin boxes, because the current coin boxes are not working very well. They cause an awful lot of disruption, and the staff want to be able to give good, smooth customer service. So they're very thankful that you approved that and wanted me to let you know. We have a new service level agreement for Logically, which is formerly the network support company, our IT company. I haven't included it for you in your packet this time because we had just gotten it and we were reading through it and we weren't ready yet. But this is to extend our work with our IT company. They're changing the way we do things. It's going to cost a little more money, as things often do. But the good news is the work that they will be doing for us includes an awful lot more in the way of security. It's much more robust. There's a 24/7 monitoring that would happen. And if something gets flagged, there are actually people there who jump in and start to work through that. And it also includes unlimited phone tech support too. Right now we're on a retainer, and each call that we make gets deducted from the hours that we pay for. So I think it's going to be it's good. I'm happy with it, and I'll be bringing that to the board in September for approval, because our retainer ends, I want to say October 1st, or I think it's October 1st, not October 30th. But I'll bring that to you at that time. And then I'm also waiting for the new SL service level agreement for the ILS, which is Evergreen. This is coming from WLS. This is for our catalog and our circulation system. They said it should be out to me by the end of August. So as soon as I get that, I'll read it through and I'll share it along, and we'll ask for your approval of it.
Karen, is the Evergreen just the book, the interlibrary loan? Is that all that it is, or is there more to it?
There's the public catalog, and then which facilitates the interlibrary loan. And then it's also the staff back end. So it's how we do our circulation. It's how we manage patron cards. It's how we manage our collection and inventory. It's the workings.
And then on the Logically contract, is there a way to determine, say, a year out, if we're better served by the new arrangement, or just to evaluate it so we, if need be, when the contract expires after the year, would logically that we know that they need to possibly give us more or adjust it somehow? Can we anticipate monitoring that, or is that something that's not possible?
In what way do you mean monitor it?
Well, it's very simple. You said that it's going to cost us more money. So can we determine that it costs us more money at the end of the year of the Logically contract? Can we determine how much more money? Can we monitor that we made under the original, the current agreement, that we made 10 calls a month and it cost us X, and with Logically's contract, we made 10 calls a month and it cost us X plus Y? Can we monitor their performance? Is the customer service truly better? Are they taking all the calls? Are they coming in a timely fashion? Or are we just spending more money and getting less service?
Yes, we get the stats of all of the service calls that we do. Obviously we know when they come on site to do work. And then we have the security software running in the background, and I can ask them if there's some sort of data that they can give us about threats, stopped and that kind of thing.
I'm just looking to give you the tools to make a decision as to whether or not they keep their promises. That's all.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. It was a little rocky there for a while with NSC when it was just taken over by Logically. The customer service really fell off. Not at the tech services end. The tech services end has always been great. When we call the help desk or when they come on site to help us, that has always been top notch. I have no complaints about that. But the sales piece of it and the sort of overall planning piece of it was not good. There were some changes made at the company, and we have a new sales rep, service rep, who we've been working with for the past 3 months or so. And I would say that the improvement has been vast. It's noticeable. Allison and I are very happy with it. And as you may recall, we had started looking into other companies, and we're feeling now like we don't need to do that. And the quotes that we were getting for other companies were way more expensive than even the additional cost for Logically. So yes, the answer is yes, Matt.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to highlight a few things from the department heads reports. The Adult Services Department is really deep into their collection audit, which is great. Many of the staff members have been working on that and have been moving through that nicely. They're also taking courses as they're offered in collection diversity and that kind of thing. So that is really good news. The Children's Department has been doing, the whole staff has been doing a lot of outreach. They've been going to the farmers market, they've been going to outdoor events. The Children's Department and the Teen Services Department have been doing a lot of work with the schools and the different summer school activities that are being done by the school districts to make sure that we're there. And Ignira and Susie are being very proactive about making sure that the educators, bless you, that the educators understand the resources that we have, because they are part of the way that we can push out these resources to the school-age children. So they're attending new teachers roundtable or luncheon roundtable in a couple weeks, and have been involved in the tours that the new teachers get. We want to make sure everybody knows what we have. And the Children's Department has been very busy with their summer reading programming, and they've been getting very good attendance. For those of you who might have tried to park on a day when they had a program, you would know this, but it's really good. Allison is working on filling the technology clerk position. We combined the two technology page positions into a technology clerk. Ultimately, we would love to go back to having also technology pages. I think that's a really good opportunity for high schoolers, and the two who we had were just wonderful and amazing. But they go off to college, and we need a little bit more continuity in that department right now. Once we get that continuity, then we want to look back at having pages again, because they are invaluable. I think that was all I wanted to say about the department reports. Mallory did put together for you the August update of the long-range plan. So you can see some of the different things that we are doing as far as our long-range plan goes. This is not exhaustive, but these are the highlights that were going on this month. And we're really proud of them. Does anybody have any questions?
Just a quick one. What's the August date for Battle of the Books? Has that happened already?
Unfortunately, our team is not making it past into the semifinals.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Their last game was, or their last tournament was, I think it was last Thursday.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Matt, you're muted.
The dog's always barking, so I muted it. Was there a balance sheet in the packet? I couldn't find any finances in it.
I don't think we had it in time, Kathy,
Okay.
no.
All right, I'll get that then. And then I had questions on the modular spaces. If I'm reading it right, one is like a 9x9 space. Do we need to do anything special with ventilation or cleaning because it's such a tight space? Will that add work to the staff at all?
You're talking about the ones on the second floor that are for tonight. We have Clean Air coming to install, I don't know, Molly, maybe you could speak to that because you're more familiar with it.
When we were looking at these spaces originally and making plans for them, we did have Clean Air assess what kind of ventilation they would need. And they're working with the existing ductwork and making some minor changes, but they're on schedule to come and do that work. The rooms are actually the same size or slightly larger than some of our existing small conference meeting rooms. So the buildings and grounds staff are used to cleaning them. So they didn't anticipate there being a problem there.
Great. I had two more questions, Karen. We talked in the past about the advantages of adding staff, specifically a social worker and a grant writer. Are either of those possibly still on our to-do lists or?
Yes. As part of the David Swope funding that we will be receiving, we are going to be at some point, and I'm thinking probably next fiscal year, we're using this first for this particular part of the funding. We're using this first year as planning, but we will be hiring a per diem social worker. They won't be a staff person, but we would have them coming in for a certain number of hours each week. Marie Pierre, who is also getting her social work degree, she works in the Teen Services Department. She is working on helping us plan that out so that we can find the best person, decide what we want the parameters to be and the focus to be, and that kind of thing. So we're giving ourselves this fiscal year to start the planning of that, and then next fiscal year, hopefully we'll have somebody on board. Could be sooner if we make progress more quickly. What was the grant writer? Currently, I don't have any plans immediately for a grant writer, for a dedicated grant writer. Mallory Marinaro she has a certificate in grant writing, so she often will step in and help write grants. She can't write all of the grants though, because she has the rest of her work to do. So we share that responsibility. I write some of the grants, she writes some of the grants, she works with other staff members to write some of their grants, and that's how we're handling it right now.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I wanted to ask Molly about these spaces, and I forgot the question I was going to ask her about them. But
Alice has a question in the meantime.
Good, go for it, Alice.
So my question was, what other libraries are following the model of bringing in a social worker? Do we know any other colleague libraries doing it?
Yes, Maria's gathering that information. I know that Yonkers Library through WLS had a per diem social worker for a period of time. I don't know if they're still doing that. But we know of several other larger libraries, St. Paul Public Library, Seattle Public Library, I think Los Angeles.
So New Rochelle.
New Rochelle?
Well, that was in your notes at that point.
Oh, yes, New Rochelle. They don't have a social worker per se, but they have as part of their sort of career guidance person who works there, she operates very similar to what we would want a social worker to do by doing referrals and things like that. So the model that they're doing at New Rochelle is very much like what we want to do. Thank you for reminding me. Baltimore also has its social work staff. It's becoming more and more libraries who are doing it.
Right, and in fact, in one of the reports, I can't remember whose part, but they were saying post-COVID that many libraries are seeing a lot more mental health issues.
Yes. Yeah, it's across the board. We had a big discussion at the PLDA meeting, I think it was last month or the month before, about the behaviors that are happening in the library and the very high need that people are coming to the library with. And folks are having a really hard time coping with that.
And so, Jonathan, I would suggest that maybe with regard to WLS, that this Elena Falcone, that department, it's like community outreach and stuff, like it probably would be interesting to sort of come up with a model, because having like a part-time person, exactly what they're doing and stuff like that. So we, sort of want to figure that out. And maybe a very comprehensive list of referral services within the community and things like that.
I will share that. I'll share that with Terry and see what, and Elena, see what they've been, what exactly the steps they're taking.
Right, because it's a very important initiative, and having taught several classes down at the Yonkers Library and seeing the on the third level that the building opens at 9 and at 9:05, like the entire third floor is full of homeless there, and it's good to have social services in the library. And I'm so excited that Marie Pierre is pursuing her degree, and in fact had a little paragraph in our report too. Thanks.
It's an important issue.
Any other questions?
Molly, I remembered now. Regarding the modulars, how do they fit in with the reports that we have from Datner and Lothrop? Would you please just touch on that for a minute?
Sure. In both cases, we reviewed these plans with Datner and Lothrop and explained to them what our goals were, how flexible the spaces were going to be, and they agreed that they were very much what they would have recommended, the type of space they would have recommended. The nice thing about these spaces is, in the event they had to be used for offices, they could be used for offices. Should we want to make things that are offices back into individual meeting rooms, we could do that. If we'd like to take the two smaller rooms, take out the modular piece in the center and make them sort of a moderately sized meeting room, that could be an option. So they're very flexible for us going forward in the future. And while we're just talking about the glass walls, the sort of shell tonight, we've also done, from the very beginning, we investigated airflow and circulation, the sprinkler systems, electrical data, lighting. So we're very well set with these, and it's very similar to the kind of thing that Datner had originally proposed. They had proposed them in multiple locations around the building, but these are the ones that we can fit most comfortably right now. And I think in particular, the two, well, the offices are of course needed, but I think the two meeting rooms are going to be immediately popular. We already are having demand right back up where it was before COVID, where it's exceeding what we can offer on a day-to-day basis. So I'm very excited. I can't wait to have them open.
Great, thank you. Thank you. I was up at Hendrick Hudson Library the other day, where Lothrop has done work, and I saw a couple of those modular rooms up on their second floor.
Nice.
So yes, they look very efficient.
Right. And I want to emphasize the point that Molly made, that they can be changed into something else in the future, because I know as part of our space assessments, we've been talking about perhaps a more suitable location for teens. And should we find in the future a more suitable location for teens, and of course then the teen staff, then those offices that we're creating can be turned into meeting rooms or study rooms.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, moving on. Now we are up to committee reports, and I get to start with the president's report. And I'm going to be very focused this time because in meeting with Karen recently, she had shared with me her concern that she was not meeting the needs of the board when it comes to reporting out on a long-range plan. And you reiterated that in your notes tonight. So what I did is I did a little bit of research, and you're just going to have to bear with me because I could have gone way back, but I started with September 20th, 2021, basically a year ago. And a year ago in Karen's report, much like the one we all got tonight, Karen reported to us that our long-range plan DEI and our consultant have crept into our everyday conversations about our work. And this is a very good thing. And our consultant was even observant of this among the staff. So this was a year ago. And then, you know, every month we got a report from Karen in here, and I just copied a few comments about the long range plan in October. They're addressing the Spanish translation. You launched the program surveys. You're building you started to build cross-departmental teams, and you were reviewing statistical models. Now, I know this may not be from a new model, but I love these statistics that you had in tonight's package. And there's another set of statistics too, which are really terrific. December, you wrote, the plan was presented to the public, and you presented programming surveys to the board, and you initiated a series of workshops for job seekers. And that's when you met in New Rochelle with and also with the WLS coordinator on work that's being done with social services and community assistance. That's how I knew I went through the notes. And then in January of this year, Karen wrote to us that she was compiling an implementation matrix and a summary for the board. And since March of 2022, the board has received every single month an implementation plan of implementing the long-range strategic plan. Each pillar is addressed. And in addition to that, we're given the website to check this out on the exact location on the Austin Public Library website. And in March, in his president's report, Matt started off his report. It was titled, Why the OPL Strategic Plan is So Important. And you opened up, Matt, with, I strongly support the Austin Library Strategic Plan and its emphasis on forming relationships that are based on civility and inclusiveness. And then I have your everything you read to us back then, but I'm not going to read it to the library, but it was very well stated about how we support the plan and how important it is for all of us. And then in May, in addition to getting a monthly update, we received a long-range implementation matrix. And this matrix is phenomenal. It's almost as if you were a historian and you wanted an accountability step by step of what the library has been doing. And it gets the goals, not only the goal, but the subtext, the sub-goal, I guess you'd call it. When this was started, the tactic and the action, when it was completed, or if it's ongoing, particular notes that are color-coded with different meaning, who works on it, when they worked on it, And this is updated. It's online. We've got so much information that when I look at all of this, and it keeps coming. And I can't, and it's available to everybody in the community to read. It's not just for the board. So I think you've made an exemplary commitment to communicate implementation of the long-range strategic plan, Karen, and the library staff. And I just can't imagine what else you could possibly do that would make us as trustees have greater confidence that the plan is being implemented. And I think I want to take this moment to ask if there's anything that any trustee or anyone else sees as a need to be better informed. Is there anything that we need from Karen or Mallory or her staff, or can they continue as they have been in sharing information with us about the long-range plan?
Thanks for sharing that with the meeting, Amanda. I guess one of the things that occurs to me is I had sent an email to everyone August 3rd just to get some feedback on a redesign on the performance appraisal form. I mean, the issues that we would look on there would be part of the conversation with Karen, but also the conversation about the board's efforts in supporting DEI and our work together. And I don't know if not everyone got it or it just wasn't relevant. I didn't hear any feedback except for Matt.
And Cecilia, I have to apologize. I was going to go back and look, and I'm sorry, I didn't, and I meant to.
So I'm under, I guess, new business. Let me see, I'm on here somewhere. So I have nothing to report. So let me know what people need or what their thoughts were. Thank you.
I will. Thank you. Anyone else?
I think that they've been doing a phenomenal job trying to keep us informed. So I'm actually a little confused as to where this is coming from myself.
I'm not exactly sure where it's coming from myself, Alice, but it is there. And so I'd like to get it cleared up. Are we good?
I agree. I don't know what more we can ask for.
Right. So I know as a teacher, you got to count to 5 before.
Sorry, it's Althema. Sorry, I'm off camera. I'm in transit. I think too, I don't know. I know you just said you know it's coming from somewhere. So can you be more elaborate? Also, I do know that we now have our long range plan committee, which, we hope to work with them. But I guess, I don't know. I was listening, not understanding where that breakdown was coming from just now. So I guess I just want background, I guess, if you could provide on what, what just happened.
Okay. I just know that from what I gather, and Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, we have not confirmed to you or to your staff that we are not only satisfied, but very pleased with the information that you've been giving us. And because we haven't confirmed that, the general feeling is that there needs to be more done. Am I correct?
You're correct. There have been, I couldn't tell you at which board meetings where board members asked for more details and more details. So I was sort of, and then we provided them, and then yes, you're correct. I would want to make sure that we are in fact providing what the board has been asking for.
Okay. Matt?
Yes, I have in the past been a little critical because I was concerned that I don't know if you want to call it PR or you want to call it advertising, but my personal preference, and I yield to the professionals and the staff, but my suggestions have been oriented towards signage, showing what the pillars are, maybe mailings, bookmarks, something. Because for me, the person that walks in isn't really feeling what we feel, doesn't really know what's going on with that. And the community at large, I don't think realizes what we've accomplished. So that's been my concerns.
Thank you. It's nice that you were specific that way. And I have to say, one of the libraries I walked into recently, they did have a sign up. Sadly, it was in a hallway in a stairwell. It identified their mission, their vision, and basically the 4 areas that they were addressing as their goals. And it was nice to stand there and to read it in the stairwell, but it would be great to see something like that. I agree with you.
But I think it would be nice, I don't know that necessarily means that more has to be done, but if we had at least on the evaluation, a summary record of all the efforts and progress that have taken place in the prior year, I think there's value in that.
True. Althema, did we answer your question?
Yes, I just wanted to know like kind of where it came from. Yeah, just that. Because I do know, you know, we do have the long range plans committee now. And so we're going to be looking and, you know, working closely. So that's all. Thank you.
Great. And I know we're going to get great things from this committee. We'll really be looking at the work the trustees are doing.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Megan, Shandi, are you both okay with this?
Yeah, I haven't had particular concern with the reporting. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Then I think, Karen, we're good with what you're doing.
So we'll continue along.
Yes. Yes.
And we'll try to include more public information, Matt. It's on our minds.
Okay. So, let me see. The next, policy and bylaws and personnel. Alice, do you have anything to report out?
Well, we met and we discussed the sexual harassment policy. We're anticipating, we're having to get the attorney to go over that for us. We have scheduled the work session on September 8th to discuss the gift and naming policy because we felt that there was a broader discussion that needed to happen between and amongst all the board members before we got started on that policy. And in addition, the naming policy as well, right? They're sort of connected. And there have been a number of conversations with regard to bylaws and the Pledge of Allegiance and things like that. So we started having that discussion, and it was agreed that we felt that a copy of the bylaws should be present at the table every time we meet. I'm sad we weren't in person today, but going forward, because often questions come up about the bylaws and we don't have them there, right? So like we were going to suggest that maybe we have a laminated copy on the table, and maybe even give every board member in their next board packet a printed out copy of the bylaws that they can just keep at their fingertips, you know, with other documents that they find helpful. Craig Olivo is going to be going over the sexual harassment policy, correct, Karen?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sorry, back to the bylaws. Amanda had made a suggestion that the pledge is listed in the bylaws, but she also made the suggestion that maybe we could amend the bylaws and include the freedom to read or Bill of Rights with regard to a possibility at the board table. And I remember we had a very thoughtful discussion a few meetings ago with regard to both of those documents. And I am sorry, I don't recall when the next meeting is. Kathy, do you know?
Alice, I thought that we have a work session scheduled for September 8th.
Yes.
And I thought we were going to discuss the bylaws and the naming policy.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. I neglected to say that. I did have that written down, gift naming and bylaws.
Yes. And the next policy committee meeting was scheduled for Monday, September 12th at 4.
Okay.
That's it. And thank you, Kathy and Amanda, for going through the Excel sheet, and thank you, Kathy, for printing it out on legal size paper so it is readable. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Alice. Matt, would you like to tell us what's happened with the Finance Committee?
Yes, as am I mute? No. As Karen told us, the Finance Committee did meet with the bonding attorney. This is a long process, and I felt that we're, I don't know, maybe 2 years away, and he said, you're not early. And we have to pull together the effort to get the information ready to be put out to bid. And we're not even close. We haven't had reports from engineers. At the meeting with Buildings and Grounds, we heard about the structure of our building and the concern that if we were to put cooling units on the roof, we have to be careful because we need engineers to determine if it can handle that and other issues like that. So we're trying to tie in Buildings and Grounds and Finance for a bond issue. And the next meeting should be hopefully soon with the school district, because they literally have to run that process of getting the bond to the public, having it voted on, and then we can proceed. But you'll be hearing a lot about it, and hopefully you'll have many questions, and you shouldn't hesitate to ask if you do. Thank you.
Thank you. I forgot to ask if anyone had any questions of Matt or Alice. No? Okay. Then moving forward, Buildings and Grounds. Cecilia? Did you have anything you wanted to report out? I know there was.
I don't have anything to add. I just picked up my packet today. I had a funeral over the weekend, so I completely forgot about picking my packet up last week. So I have to catch up, so I don't have anything to report.
Okay. I know that there was a meeting on the 9th of August, and that was, that was with Langen Engineers, and that had to do with the retaining wall, which we've already covered. Okay.
Can I just interject two Buildings and Grounds things quickly?
Of course.
Please.
One is just, I'd like to thank Steve and Stephen of the Buildings and Grounds staff. As soon as I told them that the parking lot was going to be available again for the public, rather than waiting for the fencing company to come and remove the fence, which they still haven't come yet, both of them moved the fencing panels back and secured them so that the public could immediately begin using those parking spaces. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah,
And also,
I was there today and I was so happy to see all those spaces open.
and just to let you know, our building consultant, John Tortoso, when he works in the building, he can move around with his laptop, but now his sort of home desk when he's there is in the tech services department. The network closet where he would sometimes sit, where we've cleaned that space out and we're going to be using it in addition to being the network closet to store some of the AV and basically theater support material, backup projectors, backup microphone stands, things like that. So if any of those things are needed during an event or performance, it's very simple to get them instead of having to go around the building. And that space is just now going to be sort of more tied into the theater. So that was just a quick update on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me see, I'm losing my notes. Let me see, the next, I guess we have these other committees, and I don't know if anyone has anything to report. So Cecilia, you already mentioned about the director's evaluation and how you sent that information out. So please, everybody, respond to Cecilia's request. I know I will. Sorry for the delay. And Althema, you've already mentioned the Long Range Strategic Plan Committee. I'm sure you're going to be calling that together relatively soon. It's an exciting thing that you're doing.
Yes.
It really is. Thank you. Alice, you're the foundation, you were at the meeting with the foundation. Did you want to report anything out about that?
There's nothing to add. Leslie gives you the completely comprehensive report. We're so fortunate to have her leading the charge there for us. And who is the lovely lady that was the Chappaqua director, Karen?
Pam Thornton.
Pam Thornton, and Miriam Risco, and and Steve Alpert, right? I mean, they're doing such a great job, and we're so fortunate to have them. And with the SWOPE, $250,000 gift, it puts the foundation into a whole different level now. So we're very lucky.
And then Matt, you're the liaison to the Friends. Did you want to say anything?
No, Dennis isn't going to change his approach, which is extremely thorough. But if I could interject, I have a different question. Since I've been on the board, we've never had a liaison or someone in touch with the school board. And a number of our trustees, including yourself, are former school board members. Is that something worth pursuing? I think the time has come. We've kind of overlooked that. Regardless of how they approach the library, I think we should consider it.
Well, in fact, for many years, I was the board liaison from the schools, and I attended every library board meeting for 6 or 7 years. We've never gone the other way. I'm not going to volunteer to attend school board meetings.
No one's asking you to. It's a question that I wanted to put to the president to see if we need to discuss it.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that we need to, I think this year in particular, we need to keep on top of the bond and issues like that. So I think your point is well taken.
my goodness, having sat through so many school board meetings for a number of years, I can't imagine going back to one. But it is worth consideration, and I need to give it a little bit of thought, Matt, okay? I really do, especially since we have the librarians also, Susie and Ignira, working so closely with the schools. So let me think about that a bit. I'm not sure that attending their meetings may be the answer, but there might be something else. Shandi, do you have any thoughts about that? Because you know what the school board meetings are like.
No, Matt, I think that's a good idea. I'm not sure, how that might figure out, but I definitely think that's a good idea.
Thank you. We'll come back to it. You know, Megan, I know you're the chairperson for the biennial trustee survey. I don't know if you've thought about it, done anything about it. I know you've been on vacation, but I need to get, you have the opportunity to speak if you would like to.
I don't have an update other than just to thank Shandi and Kathy for the resources that they've shared so far. I think we just need to schedule a meeting and figure out how to move it forward, but really appreciate you all for sharing those and getting the conversation started.
Thank you. Thank you. So if no one has additional comments to make, they're always welcome, but if no one does, we'll move on to the resolutions. And I would like to really address resolution 18 and 19 and save resolutions 20 and 21 for after executive session. So that being the case, resolution number 18 is approval of proposal for second floor modular space, study rooms. It will be resolved that the board approves the professional technical proposal for second floor modular study rooms in the amount of $31,404.59. I'll entertain a motion to accept this resolution. Thank you, Matt. And a second, so we can, thank you, Megan, so we can proceed to vote. All those in favor of resolution number 18, please indicate by raising your hand. Alfima, I can't see you, but I'm going to assume your hand is raised.
Yes, I have it raised.
Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you.
Kara, can you refresh my memory? How big was this grant from Elijah Melnick?
$50,000.
So it more or less covers both of these.
Yeah, the prices went up between then and now, but yes, it more or less covers.
Okay. So since there are no objections or abstentions, this resolution passes by all votes, by 7 votes. Okay. So going on to resolution 19, approval of proposal for second floor modular space, teen services office. Resolved that the board approves the professional technical proposal for second floor modular teen services office in the amount of $34,564.41. I'll entertain a motion to accept this resolution. Thank you, Alice. And a second, thank you, Matt, so we can proceed to vote. All those in favor of resolution number 19, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay. Did you see everybody's hand? I did. Okay, thank you. If there are no objections or abstentions, so this resolution is passed by 7 votes. Thank you, everyone. And now we're going to move on to old business. And at the top of our old business, we have the parking lot, which I don't know what more to say. Well, I want to say about the parking lot that I believe at the meeting that we had regarding the lot and the measuring of it, I believe it was Matt who asked for a letter from the consultants so that we had in writing what their analysis was and their recommendations in moving forward. And I really appreciated that because their recommendations are far more extensive and detailed than they provided us during the meeting. So I thought this was really terrific. And I don't know if the board has had a chance, if everyone's had a chance to read page 3, but in their recommendation is to avoid the use of large pieces of equipment, trucks, or machinery within the row of parking spaces closest to the wall. So I think considering our conversation in a previous meeting about a potential large machinery that someone asked if they could park down there, obviously that would not have been wise. And so also they go into snow removal. So there are details here which I really thought were excellent to have. Thank you for that request, Matt. Anyone else want to make comments about the parking lot? I don't think all the parking issues are resolved, so this will continue as old business. Okay. Okay. And now the next old business is the Austin Public Library request to the Historical Society for items. If I remember correctly, it was in January when we last received information from them, when they said they didn't have a record of any of our historical items that they had received, but they were going to review their minutes to see if any information came up in their minutes. They didn't really identify a time frame which they were going to get that done. No. So, suggestions, recommendations? Do we keep this on as old business?
I think we need to give them a list, like a full list. And then, you know, because I know they keep saying they don't know what they have of ours. So maybe if we create a list.
Do we have a list?
I would need help with that list because I don't know. I'm not sure that I know what we're looking for. I know that there was, Shandi, you had shared information about some oral histories, which I had reached out to, or maybe Joyce Cole reached out to me, or I reached out to her. I cannot remember what happened exactly and when. But she was going to reach out to a gentleman who had arranged for the oral histories. But beyond that, I don't know what other items we're talking about.
Shandi, do you have any information?
Originally, when I brought this up, it was high school yearbooks, directories, and apparently Dr. Oshner also gave an oral history of some type that was written also to the library that now is not at the library, that we're assuming that was sent there. I think if you send a letter saying, you know, whatever those three things, and you know, when they can get back to you and whether they can address it in writing, you know, ask them to address you in writing and then leave it at that.
It's a good suggestion. Thank you. Yep. Okay. That gives us a step forward. Okay.
And then even if you never get anything back, at least you address them in writing.
Right, and then there's a record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any other reflections on that?
A record of the missing records.
Mm-hmm.
Is Carl Oshner still around?
Yes.
Yes, he's alive.
Well, is he still around doing any history stuff that you're aware of?
Leslie told me that he made a 3-part presentation at the Briarcliff. I don't know if it was the Briarcliff Library or Briarcliff Historical Society. I'm not sure which one. And she said it was fascinating. So he's a fascinating man.
Has Joyce Schrock-Cole been in touch with him? Have they worked together at all?
He indicated that they are in touch.
Oh, good. Okay. The old and the new in terms of the historians, right?
Yeah. Okay.
We have Scott Craven, by the way. I just got my copy today in the mail of the book that was published by Scott Craven and Caroline Curvin on the Croton Dam. A major accomplishment for one of our esteemed employees.
Yes.
He'll be speaking about it in September here. Don't have the date at top of my head.
Oh, what a shame.
Yes, but I can email it out.
Well, great. Yeah. And I'm sure he'll have books on sale.
Yeah.
We could get them signed.
There you go.
Yeah, I was so bummed. I opened the envelope and then I went to the library to pick up my packet and I bumped into him and I was like, damn, I wish I brought it.
Yes. Great. Thank you. Thanks, Alice. New business. Did you want to speak more about Logically?
No, I'll have the information for you for next meeting.
Okay. Thank you. The fine-free discussion.
Yes. Can I watch in?
Please.
Okay. Prior to COVID, myself and our staff, and we had some discussion at the board level too, from what I recall, about libraries going fine-free and the possibility of Ossining Library going fine-free. Some of the current philosophy is that, and it's panning out in reality too, is that library fines create a barrier to library use. Somebody accrues a fine 20 years ago. The fine's not even in our system anymore, but yet they avoid the library because they have this outstanding fine that they think they have. Our fine revenue, we had counted on for a very long time. I think when I came here in 2015, we were budgeting somewhere like $30,000 to $35,000 in fine revenue, but we weren't bringing in that much. I want to say we were maybe bringing in 2019, 18, something like that. So it was steadily decreasing. And then when WLS as a whole and Ossining Library in particular instituted the automatic renewals, our fine revenue continued to go down, and we would make up for it in other ways in our budget. When COVID hit, we stopped charging fines, as did many other libraries, and we haven't charged fines since. And so when Bob and I made the budget this year, we zeroed out the fines line, thinking that we would not charge fines, at least for this year, but that it should be a discussion at the board level as to whether or not it should be adopted as our policy. Some of the concerns that were expressed in the past were, well, if there's not a threat of a fine, what's to stop somebody from just keeping a book for a long period of time? And we see the libraries that have done this and have studied it find that really doesn't happen. What happens when you keep a book for a very long period of time is you get a bill for the book. And that generally prompts people to bring the book in. And usually, and what we would want to do if we were to do this is put a little note in the bill saying we're not charging fines, so just bring it back. As a matter of fact, I think we do. I have to talk to Marie. I think we do put something like that in the bill. So I would like to bring it up as a discussion point with the board to see if this is something that we would like to make permanent or at least official. And if that's the case, then I would ask that the board create a resolution at the September meeting would be fair to vote on it.
What is the trend in the county?
More and more libraries are going fine-free. I lost count after a while, but I don't know if it's half. I don't think it's quite half, but I want to say a quarter to a third are now fine-free.
I noticed in going through the payments today that we send out, we are sending a check to White Plains Library and to Yonkers Library because I guess our patrons borrowed their books and received fines, or they lost the books.
It was lost books.
Lost books.
Yes.
So
those are still, we would still collect for lost books. So if a person has totally lost a book and need to pay for the replacement of the book, that we would still do. And some of and the other libraries, White Plains went fine-free, but that person is replacing a book.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd assume if somebody has concerns about their ability to pay that, then they would speak to somebody at the library and that could be figured out, right? So that would be another thing that would be included.
Right, and that's something that we've done already. We will, if somebody loses a book, and it's really an issue for them, and we're okay with not making them pay for the book or giving them a reduced fee for the book, then we do that.
I'm all for it. I think it's awesome. If we don't need the revenue and that's not what's incentivizing people to return books, then like fine free is the way to be.
I think it's a good idea as well.
Me too.
So it seems like you could prepare a resolution then. What about everybody else?
I'm good. I think we're all together. Sometimes it's hard to tell with Zoom.
With Zoom.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if anyone has an objection, please let us know before September's meeting, and we'll explore it further. I put down here under new business library visits because it struck me as we have continued our conversations regarding the report we got from Lothrop and the report from Datner, that in order to really understand what an architect sees, I need to go see it myself. Just to get drawings, just to get a book that describes things for me in my library isn't enough, because I want to have comparisons. So I'm asking the trustees if hopefully you will agree that it's good to have comparisons. And I'm putting this out there to everybody I know. I don't care where they live. Go to your library and, just I wrote for myself 6 things on a list. And when I go to the library, so far I've only visited 3. So I'm not, 3 in a week, that's pretty good. But I put down, okay, I'm going to look at points of access, because this is what Lothrop talked about, including the parking lot. How easy is it to walk to the library or to park your car there and enter it? Sorry, they're just speaking on the intercom. Lothrop spoke about wayfinding. When you walk in the front door, what are the points of service? What are they in your line of vision? Is this something that all library, does it happen when you walk into a library? How common is that? Or where are good examples? Where do we see it? Another one, the functional space, is it welcoming? Do you really want to go into that room, or do you not? You go, no, that's not for me. Lighting. Molly and I talked a lot about lighting, but what's the lighting like in the library? What do you see that works? Messaging. I spoke a little bit earlier about the messaging. Do you know the library's vision and mission? And what are their plans? Are they broadcasting that? And then, is it a community center? And I have to tell you, I have yet to see a library that has the potential of being the community center that we already are. It's just so many libraries don't have the capacity that we have. And it's really exciting to be part of this. So I hope you'll join me in this venture.
Amanda, could you maybe, I just tried to take notes on what you shared, but maybe you could sort of send out like a Word document or something with it. And so that we're all looking, when we go, we're all looking at the same things.
I will. In fact, you know what I was thinking of doing, Alice? I was thinking of doing a matrix, so that I would put down the libraries that I've seen. And if I saw something really positive in one of those areas, I'd make a check mark or a comment.
Yeah, so I think it's important that I love this idea, and we've been talking about it for a long time, and it's never happened. And I think especially at the end, with regard to the conversation we had about the long-range plan and messaging and signs and things? And is it a community center? And that's really where we're trying to move to, right? In terms of the vision of libraries. So I would love for all of us to be looking at it with the same checklist.
I would be very happy to. Any other suggestions from anyone else? I welcome them. Really. Okay, the next thing that I added to new business are banned books. Because I was really, I've been talking with Karen about it for a while. I think both of us have been reading books so that we understand why books are being banned. Not in our community necessarily, but around the country. And what is it that people find objectionable? And if I'm going to, if the conversation should come up one day, I want to be prepared. And there was a bit in the New York Times a while ago about how this is going to become an even more, I want to say, a pertinent topic as elections come near, because people are going to pick this as something that they're going to run on or fight against or fight for. And so, and that the books which are in particular, the largest number of banned books either deal with minority populations and also LGBTQIA+. And so it's I think it also ties into our commitment to DEI. And I really, I don't know, I've been reading them and I've been talking with a lot of friends and family about it. The discussions you get into are very interesting. And I'm hoping that the board also will be interested in pursuing this. So that's why I am added that to new business. And if anybody has a book to recommend, I'd like to.
There was a segment on the media this weekend on WNYC about a Supreme Court case that the plaintiff was a high school student who objected to his school board trying to ban books. And it was fascinating. They also had input from the ACLU attorney who litigated the case. And he talked about how the win they got in court surprised people, but he talked about the things he would do differently, keeping, what's going on in the 2020s in his radar. So I thought it was excellent. So I'll share that with you guys.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Cecilia. That'd be great. Molly?
Also, Banned Books Week this year is September 18th to 24th. I can forward some information about Banned Books Week. And the theme this year is Books Unite Us.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're up to public comment.
Actually, I have a request.
Yes.
You probably, if you don't have it now, maybe you could email us what the September schedule is for all the meetings that we have. I don't know if there's anything left in August for meetings, but if we could just get an overview so I could have that in one place.
Thank you. Okay.
Could include committee meetings too, like the policy meeting on it as well. That would be great. And I assume buildings and grounds and finance and maybe long range plan have meetings too. Thank you.
That would be great. Yes, good idea. I have nothing on my calendar for the rest of August. That doesn't mean a lot. Okay. Would you like to make public comment?
Yes. the fine, where does the fine go for the library? Where does the fine go from when people pay their fines for the library? Where does it go?
It goes into the library's operating funds
Okay.
as income.
Okay, and the second question. What would happen if someone actually stole their library, but even after they were supposed to return, like say and you got a book from a library and then something, then a couple of days later someone steals your book, and then you got a letter from the library to say you have to return it back.
Right, so you're asking, like, what happens if I were to check out a book, which is now against my name, but then it gets stolen, like, out of my car or something?
Yeah.
Generally, people, and that has happened, actually.
Yeah.
People let us know that, and we will, if it's a book that belongs to us, we can forgive it off of their record. So we will take it off of their record so that they're not responsible for it. If it's a book that belongs to another library, then we need to reach out to that other library and ask them to do that for the patron. We can't do it for them if it belongs to another library, but oftentimes the other library will do that as well.
Okay, and one last question. What would happen if the book happens to get damaged? Because I know in college, sometimes in colleges when students check out textbooks, they sometimes find it like damaged or lost. Sometimes very damaged, but when pages are wet or someone accidentally writes on it. I haven't seen it a lot when I went to college and buy out textbooks for my courses.
So if a book gets damaged to the point where it can't be circulated anymore, then we do ask the person to pay to replace the book. But again, if they come to us with, we've had people whose houses were flooded out in disasters. And in those cases, sometimes we'll say, well, put it on your insurance and see what happens. But in the meantime, we take it off their account if it's that kind of situation.
Or especially in case the books that got burned due to this house fire.
Right. Yeah. Something like that. We would not want to hold somebody responsible for that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
All right.
Nice
It was nice meeting you folks, and remember to vote.
Yes, yes.
Vote
Yeah.
for the primary election due to the redistricting.
Yes. So, at this point, we're going to end the, public meeting. And I would like to take a motion to go into executive session. Matt and is that out? Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Have a good summer.
Are we in executive session? Did they vote? Yes.
Oh, we have to vote?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. And so
Kathy's raising her hand. She's waiting for us.
Okay, everyone, can I have a vote to go into executive session, please? Thank you.
Recording.
You got the vote, Kathy? Okay, I'm gonna stop it now. What are you saying, Kathy?
You're on mute, Kathy.
Sounds beautiful.
Unmute.
Wait, type us a message, Kathy. Can you write in the chat?
You want to know who it was? Matt and Alice. Oh, no.
First letter sounds like.
Hi, Kathy. What do you need? To record that vote. I will let Megan know. Thank you, Kathy. If we come out of executive session and vote on the two resolutions, Kathy needs to know all that information. Okay.
Okay, now that we're back in our board meeting, we're back to resolutions. And we have two resolutions to address. The first one is resolution number 20, which is approval of confidential employee contract. And the resolution reads, resolved that the board approves the confidential employee contract effective July 1, 2022 through July 30th, 2025 for employee number 00238. May I have a motion to?
It's through June 30th, not July 30th.
Oh,
It's
June
July
30th. Yes, thank you. May I have a motion to approve and a second? Thank you, Matt and Cecilia. Okay. Please raise your hands for if you are in agreement with this resolution. And the resolution passes by 7 votes. And now we have resolution 21, approval of confidential employee contract. It is resolved that the board approves the confidential employee contract effective July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2025 for employee number 4422. May I have a motion to? Thank you, Matt. And second, thank you, Cecilia. And sorry, I'm feeling very tongue-tied at the moment. So would all trustees raise their hand if they agree with this, approve this resolution? Thank you very much. And it passes by a vote of 7. Thank you. Now, now we have one more thing to do before we adjourn, and this I want to talk, or Megan is going to talk about her reflections.
I think I might save reflections for another time because it is so late, y'all. I'm really tired. But I would, in the future, love to have a moment at the end of our meetings to just kind of reflect on how it went and just be in a moment of considering how the meeting went, what went well, what we want to change for next time, and just be kind of active in thinking about how things are going with all of us together as the board. But I am going to choose not to do that tonight because it's very late. And I think we'll all be happy to, I don't know, go to bed or have a cookie or something. Whatever we choose.
Agreed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
It was productive.
Yes. Okay.
Bon voyage, Karen.
Thank you.
Yes, how did you say arrivederci, right?
I'm trying to do a crash course in Italian, but I'm not doing very well.
Amanda, we need a motion to adjourn.
I know. So many people say their goodbyes, and so I will take a motion to adjourn this meeting. Thank you, Megan and Matt. And so we are, and all in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you very much. And I would like to wish everyone a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
See you again.
Good night, Karen. Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you. I will.
Yes. Happy travels.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.